So in today's video, I want to talk about the financial future of our local churches. Now, there are a lot of things I want to discuss, and I want to be mindful of your time, but I want to begin this discussion with you by first and foremost explaining to you how important it is for you to support your local church and other local churches, especially if you're part of the Christian community. You're part of the universal church, the body of Christ. It's critical for you to support your local church and other local churches. And we're not just talking about supporting your local church with your time. We're not just talking about you supporting your local church with your talent. I'm talking about supporting your local church with your finances, because this discussion is about the financial future of our local churches. Now, with that being said, another preface to this discussion is for me to speak on this false narrative. It's just a straight up lie that people perpetuate when they say pastors like myself and other preachers are just pimps behind the pulpit, and we're just taking advantage of sheeple who are just ignorantly giving all their money to the churches to support our lifestyle. It's just not true. I'm a living witness of that. Okay. I've been a full-time pastor, my wife and I, for 18 years. The entire time we pastored our church, and we still pastor, we've been full-time entrepreneurs. The fact of the matter is, the way we launched our church was because of how we financed the launching of our church from our business. And this is proof. This is documented. The first members of our church, they didn't even give tithes and offerings because we were so fixed on proving to them that we didn't want their money, until God had to shake us up and say, yeah, you just can't stop people from giving just because your ego and your pride is in the way and you don't want people to feel like you're taking advantage of them. So I'm the first one to tell you it's a lie. Now, are there bad apples in the bunch? There are bad apples in every bunch. But I have been a pastor. I've been a church leader. I've been a Christian. I've been a part of the body of Christ in the local church and many other local churches long enough to know that the overwhelming majority of pastors, they do not get paid from their churches. And if they are getting paid, they are getting underpaid. It's just facts. And if you believe or think anything different, it's only because you have not been exposed to factual information. So I want to start with that. Okay, now let's get back to the financial future of our local churches, because I don't want this to turn into my own personal soapbox. The reason why this conversation is important is because I'm an investor. I'm a business owner. I'm an entrepreneur. We run a private equity firm, and we have clients who are pastors. We have clients who are ministers. We have clients who are nonprofit executives. And one of the most important conversations I have with pastors, with ministers, and with nonprofit executives is the conversation about their financial future. So if you are a pastor, if you're a member of a local church, or if you're a part of a nonprofit or some community outreach, or if you're a preacher or some type of ministry leader, it's important for you to understand this. And it's even more important for you to share this with other pastors. That's one of the missions that I'm on at this season of my life, to work with more pastors to help them put strategies together for the financial future of their churches. Now, there are a lot of different companies today that do research on churches. They don't just do research on the evangelism of churches. They don't just do research on the attendance of churches. They also do research on the finances of churches, the economic stability of churches. And there are studies that are showing within the next 10 years, this 2025, so we're talking about between now and 2035, that there's a large number of churches that will close, not because of some infidelity of the pastor, not because of some ratchetness of the church leaders, because we always want to use that as an excuse, but a lot of these churches are going to close because they don't have the economic stability or the financial stability to fund their mission. And so it's very critical for us today to start mapping out the financial future of our churches. Now, if you're a pastor, okay, I'm not going to assume that you have a fiduciary or some advisor that you can sit down and talk to, not just about your own personal finances, not just about your own personal retirement, but about the legacy and the longevity of your church. Like, for example, colleges and major nonprofit organizations here in the United States of America, they have what we call endowments. What are endowments? Well, these are endowments are pots of or pools of money. They're like treasuries that are set up to help sustain the financial future of these colleges. Okay, you have alumni and you have donors and you have people who pour money into these institutions to make sure that if they don't generate enough active revenue, these endowments can help finance those future endeavors and to see to it that the legacy and the longevity of those institutions exists. Well, guess what? Churches need the same thing. But most pastors, and I can say that unequivocally because I talk to pastors. I am a pastor. I already know this. Most pastors, especially pastors who are in more of the Protestant, evangelical, charismatic movements of Christianity. Like if you look at Baptists and Methodists and Presbyterian and Episcopalian, even the Mormons and the Catholics, these organizations, they have a lot of these things set up. A lot of the Pentecostal, the independent, charismatic evangelical groups, a lot of them don't have this, and this is something that is critical. It's not something that we should be talking about casually. This is a critical conversation we need to have, and we need to start thinking through the strategies that are needed and necessary, not just to get more tithes and offerings, because that is a part of the active revenue that churches generate from the donors and the givers and the tithers. But beyond that, we have to start thinking about vehicles and mechanisms that we as Christian groups and churches can use, similar to college endowments and those types of institutions, so that we can create more economic legacies and longevities for our churches. So if you're watching this and you're interested in what those strategies are, I don't want to take too much time to get into the depths of those things, but you can always visit rpcapitalfirm.com. Click the link in the description. RP Capital LLC, this is our private equity firm, and we offer advisory services to our clients. Again, I'm a pastorpreneur. I run a church organization. We have outreaches and nonprofits, and my wife and I have for 18 years since we launched and planted this church, we have created vehicles and mechanisms to help fund and finance all the things that we've done, from community youth programs, community outreach programs, prison ministries, nursing home ministries, most of which are still in operation today because we created the vehicles and the mechanisms to finance them. And we have other nonprofits that we have birthed and we support and finance and fund within our organization beyond what we do in our church that go out into the world to do greater things. But a lot of this happens because we have put strategies together because we're thinking about the financial future of our churches. Now, again, if you have questions about what you and your church can do, I would love to have an opportunity to speak to you. But I'm not just speaking to you on behalf of a private equity firm or a consulting firm. like I don't have anything to do with the church. No, I'm a pastor. Okay. I've been a pastor, my wife and I, for 18 years, and we know exactly what the plight is of our local churches and how extremely difficult it is for a church to maintain economic stability over long periods of time when they are just depending on tithes and offerings, when they're just depending on the active support and sponsorship of donors and churchgoers on a week-to-week basis. That is no longer sustainable. Again, within the next 10 years, we're looking at a tremendous decline in churches, primarily due to a lack of financing and a lack of funding. We are changing that narrative with our church, with churches that we're connected to, with clients that we're working with, and we want to help change that narrative for you. And if you're a pastor or if you know a pastor, we got to humble ourselves. We got to get ego and pride, arrogance and ignorance out of the way. And we've got to come to the table and we've got to put strategies together and determine what vehicles and mechanisms are needed and necessary to see to it that we have legacies and longevity, not just for our tenures, but for the generations to come, so that 100 years from now, our local churches can still do the work that they've been given a mission by God to do, because we thought it through. We did our due diligence to make it better, not just for us, but for the generations to come. I love you. I'm praying for you. Click the link in the description. Let me know what we can do to help you. rpcapitalfirm.com. We look forward to speaking with you.